Hi everyone, this is Johnny here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm actually going to be doing my own personal opinion about the Apple MacBook Air, which actually comes equipped with the new M1 silicon chip. And in fact, it was just the other day I realized that I have actually been using this particular MacBook Air for a little over 3 months. I mean, it's so fast, right? I bought in April and now it's actually August. I used it for a little bit over 3 months. And I'd like to actually share my own personal experience and my own personal opinion about switching from Windows, being a long-time Windows user. And for those of you who are actually visiting my channel for the very first time, I mean, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, thank you very much for your support. So first off, it was a little bit over 3 months ago. I finally actually decided to pull the trigger and switch from Windows to Mac. And I decided to buy the Apple MacBook Air with the new Apple M1 silicon chip. Now the version which I got is actually the base model, which is Rose Gold Edition with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of SSD internal storage. Now in the beginning, I have to say that the learning curve was pretty steep for me, considering the fact that I actually needed to relearn and realign myself with a brand new operating system, because I'm actually shifting from Windows, from Microsoft Windows to Apple Mac OS. It was a completely new interface, the shortcut as well, but it took me a while, and since then I've actually been using the MacBook Air with the new M1 chip for almost everything. For my work, for my emails, for my internet, for my web browsing, for my videos, for my movies, for my music, including all the video editing works which you have actually seen in my YouTube channel, and also my scripts. Alright, but except for gaming. I mean, for gaming, I still keep it to my Lenovo Legion 5. So now, before I actually begin, I'll actually like to say that I'm not going to be doing any benchmark tests. I mean, there are tons of other videos out there which are going to be showing you a lot of those synthetic results. I'm not doing those in my video, but rather I'm just going to be sharing my own personal opinion about this particular laptop as a regular normal laptop user. And hopefully my opinion about the Apple MacBook Air with the M1 silicon chip, well, it's going to actually help you to decide whether is this the right laptop for you. And of course, this is definitely coming from a casual long-time Windows user, me. And to avoid getting my tongues tied, in fact saying Apple MacBook One M1 silicon chip is pretty long, I'm gonna just call it the M1 Air for the rest of the video. Now, for those of you who actually missed my previous videos, like the unboxing, the initial setup, and my review after using it for about a week, don't worry, I'll include those videos, the video URL links in the description below. Alright, so first off, ports. This is something which, I mean, coming from a Windows user, this is the very first thing you will notice on the M1 Air. It has only 2 USB ports. Yes, 2 USB-C ports, and a 3.5mm audio jack. Yes, that's it. You have 3 ports in total. 2 of them are actually USB-C port. Well, they actually support Thunderbolt 3, and the other one is actually a 3.5mm audio jack. I would have to say that coming from a Windows user, it's something I actually need to adjust right from the very beginning, because compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, as a Windows laptop, I'm always pampered with all kinds of ports. I mean, this is the very first thing. I mean, if you're considering to switch from Windows to Mac, this is something you need to really get accustomed to. But of course, This is not really an issue, as it can actually be easily rectified with a USB-C hub. For me, I'm actually using the Ugreen, alright, 9-in-1 USB-C hub, which actually provides me all the necessary ports I need. And then again, I mean, if you're someone who actually travels a lot, you just need to bring this additional USB-C port with you when you travel, along with your M1 Air. The second thing which you will notice, when I noticed after using the laptop for about 3 years, is actually the display. Now, in terms of screen-wise, the M1 Air has a wide gamut display, which actually supports P3 color space. Now, it has actually a screen size of 2560 by 1006 pixel, alright, and it has actually a maximum brightness of 400 nits. Now, which is actually a lot brighter. I can say a lot brighter compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, which is at 300 nits, and even comparing to my previous work laptop, which was the Lenovo ThinkPad T495S, which I think has a maximum brightness of only about 250 nits. Alright, and I'll have to say, over the past 3 months, it has actually been a joy just purely working from the M1 Air itself. Looking at the screen. The screen is very bright, the colors are very sharp, and a lot of times I actually do not need to crank up the brightness to maximum. Usually I only leave it at around 40 to 50%, which is about 7 to 8 clicks from the left. If you're using the brightness button on the keyboard itself, usually about 7 to 8 clicks, and that's it. But though there's one thing to take note is that for the M1 Air, compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, the screen is unable to be popped all the way to 180 degrees. I mean, it's compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, it goes 180 degrees. So this is something for you to take note in terms of the screen, the hinge, alright, that is, I think, can only open up to about, 60 degrees, and that's it, alright. It can't go all the way to 180 degrees. I mean, some of you tend to actually pop it up, alright. So this is something to take note. And besides that, it's also important to know that the display on the M1 Air doesn't include touch screen. Alright, I mean, this is something which a lot of other more premium Windows laptop would actually provide an additional option for you to actually swap out the display for a touch screen display. Alright, so this is something to take note. Now moving on to the third one would be the audio. Now the M1 Air comes equipped with pretty good built-in speakers, stereo speakers, which are pretty loud as well. I mean, the audio has a pretty decent wide soundstage, and it's actually pretty balanced overall. Vocals are very clear, very crisp, very sharp. And with 3 built-in mics, I would say that it's also not an issue if you choose to use the laptop, right? The mic for all your voice and video calls. I mean, I use the mics for some of my Zoom sessions, and there's no issues. Testing 1 2 3. This is the mic test on the MacBook Air. This is a mic test on the MacBook Air. I would have to also say that a lot of premium Windows laptop, the built-in speakers and the built-in microphones are far worse than the M1 Air. Alright, so for some of you here who are intending to actually get a laptop for work, and you're actually working at home, I do believe that the audio and the built-in mic should be one of your so-called higher priorities. Not because you're going to be using this on a very, very regular basis, more of a daily basis, right? So moving on to the fourth, it would be the webcam. Alright, now in terms of webcam, I would say that even though, the M1 Air comes equipped, with a 720p built-in camera. I mean, if you look at it purely based on specs, comparing with a Windows-based laptop, you won't be able to tell the difference. But the moment you actually, how do I put it? But the moment I actually log on to a same Zoom session, I mean, I use my M1 Air Zoom and I use the Zoom on my Lenovo Legion 5 and then log in at the same time to the same Zoom session, you will actually be able to tell the M1 Air webcam. It is actually able to offer better colors, better skin tone, and of course an overall brighter picture compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, even though both are actually offering 720p cameras. Right, so now both laptops are actually logged in on the same Zoom session. So the one which is looking away from the camera is actually the Lenovo Legion 5 gaming laptop, while this one, which I'm actually pointing right now, it's actually the M1 Air MacBook, all right, the M1 Air webcam. So as you can see, the difference is actually pretty obvious. So the M1 Air webcam, even though it's actually on the same stats as the Legion 5 to be 720p, but you can see that the image quality, the processing is actually far better compared to the Legion 5, which I'm looking at it right now, right? So it's actually sharper. I mean, on the M1 Air, it's actually sharper, it's brighter, the colors are richer. You can see from the quality, there's also, even I have to move in closer. Yeah, you can see there's a huge difference, right? Yeah, you can really see the color contrast over here, okay? All right, so this is something to take note. It's the same as the previous one, the third point, which is regarding audio. So for some of you here who are actually thinking to get the laptop because you need to work from home and you always need to use the webcam, you always need to use the microphone for a lot of Zoom sessions and Skype calls, or even Microsoft Teams, these two areas should be on a higher priority list, okay, when you're considering a laptop. Now moving on to point number 5. Now point number 5 is actually the built-in touchpad, and I would have to say that this is, oh my god, okay. Personally, I would have to say that this is the best, if not one of the best built-in touchpad I've ever used. I'm not too sure about some of you. I'm sure when it comes to this particular, when it comes to touchpad, I'm sure there are some people who's gonna say that no, I mean the ThinkPad is better, or some of you say that the Dell, XPS is better, or some of you say the HP is better. But for me, I have used the ThinkPad for over 2 years. I have a Lenovo Legion 5 at home, using regularly as well for gaming. I would have to say that the glass touchpad which comes with the M1 Air, not only is it sensitive, but it's smooth and it's pinpoint accurate. There were a lot of moments whereby I could just do away with the mouse. Be it when I'm writing my script or I'm doing my work, I'm checking my emails, I'm web browsing, watching videos, I could do away with my mouse, my Logitech mouse, but it's only when I'm doing video editing, which I will actually need to use my mouse because I need to do a lot of back and forth scrubbing. So with a mouse, I mean, when it comes to video editing, it's definitely much easier, okay, to get to that particular point. I mean, but right now I'm actually learning how to do away, entirely with the mouse just by using the M1 Air built-in touchpad. Okay, but of course, let me know what you think. Do you think that there are laptops out there, with far better and more superior built-in touchpad? Let me know in the comment section below. All right. Now, next I'll move on to number 6, which is the keyboard. Now, this is something which some of my friends who have been long-time Apple Mac user, they have been complaining about. I think the previous generations were using the so-called the butterfly switch, which always have a lot of issues when it comes to inputs. All right, for me, if I'm not wrong, the M1 Air actually comes with the scissor switch, which was the previous generation, okay, the previous iteration of the keyboard, all right. And I have to say that the typing experience thus far for the past 3 months on the M1 Air, comparing it with my Lenovo Legion 5 and the ThinkPad, I'll have to say that all three are very comfortable to type on. Especially if you're going to be doing a lot of typing for long hours. Personally, I feel that there's very little difference. I mean, I could be slightly wrong on this, or you know, some of you may have you might be more skewed towards the new Mac keyboard. Some of you here could be more skewed towards the ThinkPad, you know, or you know, the Dell XPS. You know, let me know in the comment section below, you know, which laptop keyboard you love the best. For me right now, I feel that it's a tie. You know, for me right now, I feel that it's a tie. You know, whether is it the M1 Air new scissor switch keyboard, or it's the Lenovo Legion 5 True Strike keyboard, or it's the ThinkPad keyboard. I mean, to me it feels very similar, and thus far, I mean, I have no personal preference on this. Let me know your personal preference in the comment section below. Right, now moving on to number 7. The number 7 area which I realized over the past 3 months is actually the heat. I still remember previously is that when I was still working on my Lenovo Legion 5, or I was actually working on my Lenovo ThinkPad, I never really put those laptops directly on my lap. The real reason is because they actually have an exhaust fan built at the bottom. You know, so if I were to put the laptop directly on my lap, there will be a fan blowing directly at my leg. You know, all the hot air will be blowing out. But for the M1 Air, I was able to actually put the laptop on my lap. I mean, it will still feel a bit warm. You know, it will get warm definitely, but it's not to the point whereby, you know, I will feel unpleasant, I'll feel uncomfortable, and I do not need to actually put a cushion in between, you know, to prevent my, you know, my legs getting roasted, okay, from the hot air. This is something to consider, you know, for some of you here who like to be very mobile, like you like to bring a laptop here and there, you like to be on the couch, you like to be on the sofa and this kind of stuff, you like it to be on your lap, you know, like to chill. Do take note that from my own personal experience, M1 Air laptop doesn't feel very hot. You know, you will feel a bit warm, but I mean that's it. Okay, for my own personal experience for the last 3 months. Next, I'll move on to number 8, in which is gonna be talking about like hardware accessories, the support and upgrades. I would have to say is that firstly, Apple and third-party companies, they do offer some great, laptop components, accessories, etc. Like the one I'm using, the USB-C hub from Ugreen. And a lot of all these accessories are not just only meant for the M1 Air, but it's also meant for the MacBook Pros and etc. etc. But the issue here is that number one, firstly, the selection is limited compared to Windows laptop. Secondly, it's also much more pricier compared to accessories meant for Windows laptops. But of course, I mean, as technology improves, I do know that that Apple are beginning to provide USB-C ports which are also compatible with generic USB-C. Alright, but still, I mean, I have about 3 to 4 USB-C port with me, hubs with me, and I do have to say that some work, some don't. Yeah, not all of them actually works every single time I plug it in. Some of them I have to plug in and out quite a few times before I could get it to work. Alright, and even the Ugreen USB-C hub, which I've actually been using for a long time, there are still moments whereby it doesn't detect at all. Okay, so this is something to take note. And the second thing, the second example, on that, it's actually the multi-monitor support. This is a very important. I mean, for all of you here like me, you probably want to be connecting 2 monitors, 3 monitors, 5 monitors. This is something really important because technically speaking, the M1 Air is only technically able to support 1 external monitor. Take note, it's actually technically speaking, I mean officially, it's only able to support 1 external monitor attached to it. Now, if you wish to connect 2 or more, this is one area you need to take note. You actually need to get very specific hardware accessories which actually supports display link. And besides that, you actually need to install the display link driver in your M1 Air in order to be able to connect 2 and more monitors. Alright, so this is something to actually take note. Now, the last thing in terms of upgrade is that for the M1 Air, you're not able to do any further support. I think it's almost impossible, I think, to do any DIY upgrades. I mean, if you want to upgrade the RAM, or you want to upgrade the SSD, or you want to upgrade the battery, it's very difficult. I mean, it's a tall order. Whereas compared to my Lenovo Legion 5, it's very easy for me to upgrade the RAM. If I want to swap out the SSD for a higher tier one, like a 1TB or 2TB, it's easy. If I want to change the Wi-Fi card, it's easy. It's also very easy for me to change the battery to a higher capacity if I want to. Right, so this is something for some of you here to consider, that if you intend to use the M1 Air for a long time, you might want to consider going for a higher tier option. And these are a lot of things that you might want to take into consideration, like upgrades and everything, which is not really very possible. Moving on to the 9th, which is the last one, is that this is actually the most important aspect when you're looking at laptops or when you're looking at computers, is the one area which matters the most, alright, or it should be the top of your list, and that is performance. Now, being a long-time Windows user, I have actually no regret. I mean, I have to say, personally, I have no regret switching from Windows to Mac. Now, not because I'm using it for gaming, but I'm actually using it for work. And So far, for the past 3 months, it has been much faster. The battery life, it lasts longer. And this is also considering the fact that, I mean, like I mentioned previously, I was also using the ThinkPad, the T495S, for work. Now, I'll give you a very good example. Now, first example is that when it comes to exporting a video, usually my YouTube videos will be like maybe 6 minutes, 8 minutes, or 10 minutes, around there. So let's say, for example, if I need to export an edited, 10-minute, 1080p video, using iMovie from my M1 Air, it only takes around like 3 minutes. But if I were to export a similar video from my Lenovo Legion 5, it could take around, if I'm not wrong, about 15 or 20 minutes. That's a huge difference. On the M1 Air, it's only 3 minutes, but if I were to do the same video, the exporting on the Lenovo Legion 5, it could take anyone from 15 to 20 minutes. That's performance. Secondly, it's a byproduct is that, considering that I'm also using the iPhone 12 mini, which I'm actually using it right now to do this video recording, file sharing is a breeze between my iPhone and my M1 Air, because all I need to do is just to use the Apple AirDrop function and done. Alright, so this is a small thing to take note, for those of you who are looking at file sharing, all this kind of stuff between laptops and phones. This is one thing to take note. Alright, now besides that, over the past 3 months, I also don't really need to worry about battery performance. Now I do know that on the official website, Apple actually claims that the M1 Air can actually go up to, I think, about 15 hours or 18 hours. But from my own usage, for the past 3 months, these are my usual setting. Firstly, in terms of brightness, usually I'll set the screen brightness at about 50%. I'll leave the Wi-Fi on. I'll have a couple of apps running in the background. Definitely, I have Safari, I have WhatsApp desktop, I have my iMovie, I have my Telegram, my messages. I also have my Apple Music playing in the background, and my iMovie would actually be editing videos. Okay, for my own usage, it can usually last me around at least 8 hours before I actually need to plug in the power again at 10%. Now, comparing it with my Lenovo Legion 5, this is impossible because I will always need to keep my laptop plugged in every 2 hours. Every 2 hours, I'll actually need to plug it in, and let it charge. Once it's 100% charged, I'll plug out the cable again, and then another 2 hours, I'll plug it back in again. So in terms of battery performance, I would say it's about 3 to 4 times longer than my Lenovo Legion 5. This is performance. Now, another thing is in terms of waiting time. I mean, as a long time Windows user, sometimes when I'm doing something simple and I will see this, hourglass icon, well, it do happens on my M1 Air, whereby I'll see this colorful beach ball, but from my past 3 months, I rarely see it. Going back to my previous example of the number of things I'm doing, and this kind of stuff, I will only see the colorful beach ball if I'm initializing the motion stabilization feature in the iMovie. I mean, because I'll need to actually make sure that the movement is smooth. So usually once I click on that, the colorful beach ball will appear for about like 2 to 3 seconds, and then that's it. And it will never ever appear again until I actually edit a new video and there's a need to do to actually initialize the motion stabilization. Otherwise, I don't really see the color beach ball at all. Okay, and when it comes to installing applications, I would, however, suggest against installing Apple apps which are meant for the iPhone and the iPad. my personal experience is that it's not fully integrated. There's still some bugs and some errors, which I hope that Apple will actually iron in all this. Sorry, I hope that Apple will actually iron out all these issues with all their software developers, and hopefully in time to come, in the next few months, we will be able to install applications which are meant for the iPhone and the iPad safely on the M1 Air. At the end of the day, should you actually consider to switch from Windows to M1 Air? Well, let's look at the pros and cons, right? Shall we? Now, in terms of pros, I'll have to say that it has remarkable fast performance, amazing long battery life. I just covered that a few moments ago. Very comfortable keyboard. Yes, a great webcam. It has great built-in stereo speakers. It has good microphones. You can actually put your laptop on your lap, okay, without worrying, about hot air blowing at your legs, okay. It has an awesome Apple ecosystem, especially if you're using an iPhone like me or iPad. It comes with a lot of useful pre-installed applications, like the iMovie, the Preview, the GarageBand, and get this, you get the full version of the entire Apple Mac Office suite. Alright? You get the entire version, the full version, pre-installed. Alright? Okay? Now, in terms of the con, it's not really ideal for gaming, that's number one. Okay? Display-wise, it doesn't open up fully to 180 degrees. It's troublesome to connect 2 or more monitors. Technically speaking, can only connect one. Lack of future upgrades, right? If you, let's say, you want to change the RAM, you want to change the SSD, it's very troublesome. Lack of accessories and third-party hardware, compared to Windows, the gap is slowly shortening now. Considering now that, the M1 Air comes with USB-C port, which also support Thunderbolt 3. Software installation sometimes can get a little bit troublesome, alright? Drag and drop here and there and this kind of stuff, whereas for Windows, it's just click, 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 next, and then you just install. No touchscreen, alright? These are some of the cons. So the first thing to consider is that if you're like me, you're an iPhone user, I would feel that, besides that, not only an iPhone user, but you're not really a hardcore gamer, and you are actually really looking for a laptop for work, then switching to the M1 Air, it's a pretty simple choice for me. Alright, it should also be a pretty simple choice for you. And do take note that the M1 Air, the base model with 8-core CPU, 7-core GPU, 256GB SSD storage, the variant, it starts from 1,449 Singapore dollars. I think the US is about just under 1,000. I think it's still at 999 USD. If you want the higher variant, on the Singapore website, it starts from 1,799. And if you're a student, I do remember Apple offering some student discount, but of course, do approach your local Apple store to get more information on the student discount. On the other hand, but if you're not, then it's better that you stick to the Windows, because from what I know is that Windows, you have more options, you can use it for game and etc. But for me, I will definitely continue to be using my M1 Air for work, music, videos, editing, etc. And I'll keep gaming to be on my Legion 5. There you have it. Alright, those are actually my personal thoughts and opinions, alright, about the Apple MacBook Air with the new M1 Silicon chip after about 3 months of daily usage. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, it would be awesome and amazing if you could smash the like video, subscribe to my channel, and activate the notification bell so that you can get the latest update on my new video content. And also, please leave your thoughts, alright, and let me know, or even a small review in the comment section below. What do you think of the M1 Air? Are they worth the switch from Windows? Make sure you let me know in the comment section below. Anyway guys, that's all the time we have. My name is Johnny and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!